Welcome back to Edutainment. In today's video, we'll explore an essential concept from Indian labor law, the role of an occupier under the Factories Act 1948, and why this position carries significant responsibility. The Factories Act 1948 is a vital piece of legislation aimed at ensuring the safety, health, and welfare of workers in factories across India. It lays down various rules and regulations to protect workers and creates clear lines of responsibility. One of the most important roles under this act is that of the occupier, a person who holds ultimate control over a factory's operations. Let's dive into what this term really means. According to Section 2N of the Factories Act, an occupier is defined as the person who has ultimate control over the affairs of the factory. This individual could be the factory's owner or a senior manager, but in the case of a company, it gets more specific. The board of directors of the company has the authority to appoint someone as the occupier. This could be one of the company's directors or another person the board chooses to take on this crucial role. Once a person is designated as the occupier, they are responsible for ensuring that the factory complies with all the provisions laid out under the Factories Act. Now let's break down the key responsibilities of an occupier. Firstly, the occupier must make sure that the factory is a safe place to work. This includes adhering to safety standards, keeping machinery properly maintained, ensuring proper ventilation, cleanliness, and sufficient lighting. Secondly, the occupier must take care of the workers' rights. This means they need to ensure that workers are getting appropriate rest periods, working within legal hours, receiving fair wages, and enjoying a safe and fair working environment. Thirdly, the occupier has a responsibility to maintain accurate records, such as reports of accidents, injuries, and illnesses that occur within the factory. These records must be reported to the relevant authorities. Lastly, the occupier is responsible for obtaining the necessary licenses and approvals from the government for the factory to operate legally. Failing to meet any of these responsibilities can have serious consequences for the occupier. If there is a breach of the Factories Act or if an accident occurs due to negligence, the occupier can be held legally accountable. This means they could face fines, penalties, and in extreme cases, imprisonment depending on the severity of the violation. Courts have been particularly strict about enforcing these rules, especially in factories dealing with hazardous materials or processes, such as chemical plants. In these cases, the judiciary holds the occupier fully accountable, ensuring that the person with ultimate control is answerable for any lapses, even if there are multiple layers of management involved in the factory's operations. To sum up, the role of an occupier under the Factories Act 1948 is one of great responsibility. The occupier is the person responsible for ensuring that the factory complies with all legal requirements, particularly around worker safety, health standards, and the welfare of employees. If the factory is owned by a company, the occupier is usually one of the directors or another authorized person chosen by the board. Ultimately, being an occupier is not just a title. It carries significant legal obligations and can lead to serious consequences if the provisions of the Factories Act are not followed. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Eductainment and share it with your friends. Stay informed and keep learning.